All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to this Pittsburgh City Commission meeting, August 23rd, 2022. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'd like to welcome Reverend Chambers to come up and give the prayer tonight. Good evening. Came out of retirement.
Oh, I'm working at it. Let us pray. Father, we give you thanks for this beautiful day and with this opportunity that we can come together to discuss the city business. And we want to give thanks to these commissioners for their time that they give in dedicating their services to our wonderful city. We ask you to bless our city leaders. Thank you for the decisions that they have to make daily, and we want to lift all these people up here together. We want to lift them up to you, that all decisions they make are decisions that have been carefully thought out, that the Spirit will guide them in all they say and do. And as always, Father, we want to ask that all gatherings, all meetings be done in peace and harmony, with love and respect to one another. And we want to thank the citizens who come to these meetings or who are watching, to bless them and be supportive of their city. Watch over us this evening, and we give you all the praise, honor, and glory. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
All right. Everyone like to open public input. And if anyone would like to come up and speak, state your name, address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
I'm Vince Van Diesel, 1001 South Rouse. I'm here, I think I talked to a few of you on the phone. I think I yelled at a couple of you too, so for that I'm apologizing here in public. So anyway, I'm kind of here to address a concern that I have as a Pittsburgh resident, and I think some others here from living in an area where there's been several incidents, and I can't pinpoint all the accounts of it, but someone else who could probably talk about it. But as of recently, there was an arrest made, I understand, 4 people. One of the was charged with kidnapping, 3 with drug charges, and we found out within 48 hours those were all dismissed, or they were released back to reside in the same area, and almost seems like back to the same practices. I know there's been numerous cases going on at this resident and in this neighborhood for the past 2.5 years. It's a concern because I have family and friends that live there, and I just feel like it's something that needs to be addressed by, I'd like for somebody else to come up and tell several instances that's happened, but then as a community, I just feel like we are so much better than this. Pittsburgh is better than this. Crawford County is better than this. There's incidents going on like this all over the country, and we don't need to have it here in Pittsburgh, Kansas. We need to do something to address it up front. It's everybody. If it's, our police department's doing a fantastic job of getting in there and making the first attempts to arrest and get this under control, but somewhere along the line it loses ground. I'm not sure why or how. It's disappointing, it's disheartening. I know we've got our Imagine Pittsburgh that we're working on. A lot of people are working on it. I don't want to imagine Pittsburgh as a crime capital of the world in 2030. And I think that's the way we're going if we don't start doing some things to address this. So if anybody else wants to speak about the incidents and that, I'm not aware of everything, but I'd appreciate if someone else would come up and say something about that.
All right.
I will.
Okay.
I'm not here for that reason, but my son is a football player.
Come up to the podium and tell me your name and address.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Watts. I live at 811 Elmwood Lane. And I just have to, this is one thing that's bothered me because I'm about ready to talk about my new business that's going to go downtown. But a couple years ago, my son who plays football here, 6'3", 200 pounds, was getting out of his car, and for no reason, one of the mentally ill folks here in town knocked on his door, on the car, while he was sitting in his grandparents' driveway, And my son walked out and said, "Hey, bud, what can I do for you?" And the guy called him the N-word and hit him in the face for no reason. My son knew that he was mentally ill, and he walked away. But all I could think of is if this would have been a young college girl, if there would have been more than just hitting somebody in the face. I mean, the guy hit him in the face, called him the N-word, and walked away. And this was my son, who's Caucasian, 6'3", a football player, and for no reason. I mean, we moved here from Orlando, so it shocked us that somebody was that abrasive in Pittsburgh, Kansas. And we called the police. The police said there probably wasn't a whole lot we could do. We could press charges. I know the man's in his 30s. His parents have dropped him off here from Kansas City. He lives down the street from my parents. Every once in a while, he goes back up to Osawatomie for a couple weeks because he's mentally ill. He believes he's in the military, that he's protecting our Pittsburgh streets. But my fear is next time it will be an elderly woman walking the streets, and he's also the same man that if people wave to him, then he flips you off as he's running by. He runs around Pittsburgh shirtless and with a backpack on. And then yesterday I was working at my store. My brother was here from Kansas City, and there was another older guy, Caucasian, older gentleman who looked like he'd been out in the streets walking forever, definitely not a Pittsburgh native, and he was cursing and screaming at somebody in his brain, and he just walked by. And as someone who's moved here, I was embarrassed because my brother visiting from Kansas City saw this, and I don't want that to be our image. And I don't know what the police can do to help this. I mean, it's almost like a catch and release, and it's a mental illness problem, and I know it's a nationwide problem, but it's very visible here in Pittsburgh. And both my other store, we had them come into us, and most of them were friendly. A lot of them are talking to strangers in their brain, and I don't know, most of them seem safe, but it's just going to take that one that does something to a college student that's going to get in the press, that's going to go national, and it won't be a good thing. So, and if they did, like I said, if they did that to my big son for no reason, my God, what could they do to some young girl or a middle school girl walking down the street from school? So that was just my 2 cents. And I know it doesn't seem to be getting any better. That's my fear. So I don't know how to solve it. I think we're a wonderful town that we give them opportunity here. We set them up with the community health, which is wonderful. But so many of them don't seem to want to get off the streets. They seem to like it. So until we figure out how to deal with that, I don't know what else to say. But I was going to mention about my son because it scared us. Coming from Orlando, we've never been accosted physically in our family. But here it happened, and so it surprised me. So,
Thank you for your input. Is there anyone else who'd like to come up?
Hi, my name's Tracy Bevilacqua, and I live at 1010 Amber Drive. I'm not really prepared. I didn't know I was going to get up here, but I guess I'm taking one for the team. This house is not directly across from me, but the next one to the right. And we've only been there for about 1.5 years. And at first I didn't see anything that looked out of the ordinary. I'd heard some stories from some other neighbors about some things that had happened in that particular house. But the last 6-8 months, things have escalated. It's a quiet family neighborhood, which is concerning to all of us, but it's also surprising that the kind of things that appear to be going on there are happening in this kind of a neighborhood. I mean, I've seen things from, I think it's the lady that lives there, sweeping the front yard in the wintertime with a broom, sweeping the street. The police are there very often, and I know that they've done everything they can. I guess what I am trying to find some clarification on is this bond reform that supposedly went into effect on August 1st, where the people are arrested, they're taken to jail, and they're held for only 48 hours and released. I don't understand how someone with 2 charges of kidnapping, the drugs is one thing and it's terrible and I want them out and that's obvious, that's what's going on there. But the kidnapping is incredibly disturbing to me. And how is she out of jail? How does that happen? I don't know what we can do. I mean, I don't think that we're gonna come up with a solution tonight. I don't think that there's anybody here that has the answers of what we can do, but I feel like it resides with this bond issue that's come into play. Maybe somebody can enlighten me as to what all is involved with that. But this kidnapping, and we've heard that from people that have been inside, that they're hoarders. They couldn't even hardly search the house when they had the search warrant because there's so much stuff in there. And somebody else I know, completely unrelated to this, has camera footage of 2 of the vehicles that I've seen over there in the driveway of this house with junk. They have video footage of 2 of those vehicles going through their alley, picking up, I don't know if they're stealing it, but they're picking up metal and just junk, and they bring it to this house, and they unload it all into the garage in the house. And it's just, if nothing else, it's probably a huge fire hazard. There's stuff outside, inside, and I'm just gonna say this is what I heard, that someone else that was in there during the search warrant, they found in the basement what looked like a sex dungeon. So, is there sex trafficking going on in there? Could be. I have young granddaughters. I have a young daughter. There's a lot of people here that have kids and grandkids. This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable anywhere, but particularly in a quiet family neighborhood like this. So I think we're all here just, what can we do? That's all I got.
Thank you, Tracy.
Justin Edge, I'm at 1003 Amber Drive. First, want to just say that I respect you commissioners and what you're doing. I respect our local law enforcement. That's kind of the theme, is respect. And I feel like we live in a neighborhood that respects each other, with the exception of one. I'm shaken up a little bit. I'm a father of 3 little boys. And my wife's afraid to take them on a walk. Sorry.
You're fine.
That's right, serious.
Justin, we all feel you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not alone. I got a group of people behind me that feel the same way. We have different circumstances. Some of us have those little kids, some of us don't, but we all care for them. I think Pittsburgh, born and raised here, lived here, got away for a couple years and came back because this community, it just draws you. And this is an instance where it doesn't. And I don't think we should be getting away from that. We celebrated our independence on July 4th, and the night before, there's a bloody man pounding on our windows. There's reports of people being held at gunpoint, supposedly in town collecting money for some of those drug problems. I know the answer to what I'm about to ask you guys, and it's not disrespectful by any means, but how would you like it in your neighborhood? I just ask that, find a way. We're going to put someone in jail for a night or 2 nights for something so serious. Why they get to come home 2 days later and make my wife afraid to take those kids on a walk. That's my point, is I want to live in a family neighborhood. I bought a house to live in a family neighborhood. I'm surrounded by amazing people, with the exception of one. So I hope we can find a way to resolve that, and I appreciate all of you in this room taking the time to hear us out.
Thank you for coming forward.
Is there anyone else who'd like to come up?
Hi, I'm Tim Burns, and I live at 1016, which is just catty angle from the house that you're talking about. Been there for 5 years, and I'm a grandpa. Obviously, I'm not a parent, but I'm a grandpa. And here's my biggest issue with this whole thing is, if you look at that neighborhood, we have a lot of kids that walk through the neighborhood and go over and catch a bus. Okay, so they go through that neighborhood, they go by that house, and they catch a bus. Okay, I've seen a lot of things. I haven't seen as much as Sean, because he's up at night. I'm up at night too because I'm an old man, but the other thing is, I'm not up at the same time that things happen. But I've seen things and I've heard things and so forth. I've seen cars come in at 3 a.m. in the morning. I've seen cars come in the middle of the afternoon, Missouri tags, and go in the house. 15 minutes later, they come out. Okay, what are they doing? That's the whole thing. Here's the thing. I am a retired educator, retired teacher, taught at Pittsburgh High School for 11 years, retired superintendent and principal. And here's my thing, and I ask you guys to consider this. As a city, you know as well as I do, when you have a core that is not, I guess, appropriate or not positive, okay, what does that do to your community? I've seen that. What happened when I, as a superintendent or principal, when I had a senior class that was not a positive influence on the school community? Okay, you know what happens. Things go downhill. It does come uphill, but you have to address that issue. And it doesn't take much, just like in our small community, it doesn't take much for that thing to turn south in a heartbeat. And this is what happens. And I've heard, okay, well, their garage and everything else. But it's like I told Sean, I said, I drove down there, and it's not just the garage, it's the backyard. It's the whole thing. They pull in, they unload, they load, they move out, and do everything else. Well, that is an endemic of a rotten core. And I'm hoping that just in our small community, in our Amber Drive community, I hope that doesn't move across the street. I'm going to say, more affluent communities, Deer Run, whatever else. Okay, what happens when that happens? Because the money's there. What are you going to do? And I ask that you address this and address the issue of protecting our kids and our families. And I hope that, and the police department has been great. They have been great. Because the day before or the day of that last raid, which I didn't know about because Sean told me about it because I wasn't awake. But anyway, the day of that raid, I witnessed a police car come over, they looked over the fence, they saw what was going on, got back in the car, and then they left. But they're watching. So I'm imploring you to consider as a city, not just as our community, as a city, to look at what that does to our insular little communities, that we can attract people, families, kids. I have grandkids. Okay? And I always look at what's going on over there before I take my grandkids on a bike ride or a walk or whatever the case may be. So I ask you, please look at this and look at the bigger issue, not just our community, but our city, our bigger community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sean Torrance. I live at 1014 Amber Drive. I live right across from said house. And to shed some more light on what Tim was saying, there's been unbelievable amount of traffic going in and out of that house, all hours of the night, parking on sidewalks, parking in the no parking zone in front of their house. We've been there, me and my wife have been there for 10 years, and at first it wasn't an issue, but now it's getting worse and worse and worse, and the police have been great about responding to any incidents or whatever there. I've even been contacted by a detective about putting a camera on our house to watch them. But like other people have said, they got young children. I have a daughter that's a senior. We tell her to watch your back because the kidnapping is serious. And that could turn into something I don't want to imagine, or for any other parent with a young child. So I think we need to press the urgency button on this and find out what's going on. What can we do to resolve this? There's been multiple issues at this house and this residence, and every time it gets worse and worse and worse, something more serious than the previous one. When's it going to stop? What's going to be the next issues? I mean, we've had the beatings, the gun, now the kidnapping. What's next? Like it was mentioned, sex trafficking. What's next? And I appreciate everybody's work that they've done so far, but as a neighborhood, we're concerned. And some people are scared. And it's frightening because we have this beautiful walking trail, but people are scared to use it now. Because I have friends that live in Grand Oaks that have reported random people cutting through yards to go over to that house. I'll get phone calls. A lot of us have Ring cameras or cameras vice versa, and so everybody's on alert to keep their eyes open for. And there's people. I've seen people cut through Tim's yard. Just random people that we've never seen before go into that house like they're there for 15 minutes, or they're gone, or they're carrying bags or whatever, or coming over with vehicles with junk, and I just don't know. That's about all I got to say. Thanks.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
My name's Todd Allison. I live at 1015 Abbey Lane. I'm sort of cat-a-corner down the street. I'm not going to say a whole lot about this that hasn't already been said, but we are talking about the issue of rights of a property owner and an individual versus the rights of a community. And I mean, that house causes traffic day and night. It's had multiple police raids. I've had my teenage drivers can't get into the neighborhood because there's cop cars everywhere, drone going around, the whole 9 yards, and it's just a lot of drama. And at some point, with the neighbors, it's like, how much do we have to put up with? I mean, I realize they have rights, I get that, but it's really taking away from the ability of other people to live a fairly normal life, to get through the neighborhood. How many police raids do we need? I mean, I don't know how many we've had, 3, 4, I have cable. If I want to watch cops, I'll turn on television. I don't need to look across the street for that, you know? And so, I don't know what can be done as a city, but it is really an issue. And most people here know me, and I wouldn't be standing up here if I didn't believe that, you know, something really does need to be done. It really is a serious issue. So, thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Todd.
I'm Brian Jackson. I live at 1009 Amber Drive. I live directly next door to this house. I'm primarily here, I'm not going to say anything that hasn't been said either. I'm here 100% in support of this entire crew back here. And I just also want to kind of say that I also have a child in PSU and a wife who works in the school industry as well. But my bedroom window happens to face, you know, that side of the house where all time at night, you know, the lights are on in the backyard where all this chaos is going on. And when I was house number 3 in that entire neighborhood. I was there 19 years ago when that was built. I watched every house in that neighborhood built. And so it is kind of heartening. That particular house had a pharmacist wife and a businessman who's still in our community. You know, very great place. The next group was a professor, I believe, at PSU. And, you know, great people also. Very nice. And I don't know how, I do know how, you know, it came up for sale. And I met the current owner of this house. And she told me that she had a farm in Missouri. And ironically, it burnt down. She got an insurance check and she moved into our neighborhood and bought this house. So apparently, when that was done, she also had enough money to buy new cars for everybody. She had jet skis. She had the weirdest thing. She packed that entire house with brand new everything that you can imagine. It was ridiculous. But I don't know how, you know, we even, you know, I'm not saying that we have to have an application to move in our neighborhood particularly, but somehow this little bad seed kind of snuck through the crack on us on that one there too. So very disappointed with, you know, if I knew who sold her the house, I might have to have a question with them. But nonetheless, I'm here 100%, you know, in support of my entire neighborhood. And I don't know if I am the administrator to the Amber Meadows Facebook page, you know, been delegated that little authority. So if there is anything that our little group here can do to assist, you know, in making this all happen, then that's what we're here for. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Anyone else? Okay. Come right up.
Hello, I'm Kim Ellison and I live at 1015 Abbey Lane. You guys just heard from my husband Todd. And basically all I want to say is that unlike some communities, we don't have a homeowners association. We don't have any way to like affect change in our neighborhood like some do, where they can say, well, you can't have trash in your yard, we're going to put a lien on your house. So that's why we're here. We're sort of out of options and we feel at the mercy of higher powers. So thank you very much for considering what everyone has said, and I hope you can help us work together for some sort of solution for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Anyone else? Last call? Okay. All right. We're going to close public input and move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed? Oh, just so everyone knows, Stu Height is on the phone with me here, and he is present, so we do have 4 of us. Yes. And
I don't have anything there.
nothing to, guys? Ron?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, all right. So approval of the August 9th, 2022 City Commission meeting minutes. Item B, approval of ordinance number G 1339, amending section 7831 of the Code of the City of Pittsburgh, Kansas and providing for the protection of public health, property, and safety, and the regulation of traffic by adopting the reference of the 2022 edition of the Standard Traffic Ordinance for Kansas Cities, as published by the League of Kansas Municipalities, save and accept such parts or portions as supplemented, deleted, or changed, and repealing ordinance number G 1329, and authorize the mayor to sign the ordinance on behalf of the city. Item C, approval of ordinance number G 1340, amending section 5441 of the Code of the City of Pittsburgh, Kansas, regulating certain public offenses within the corporate limits of the City of Pittsburgh, Kansas, by adopting by reference the 2022 edition of the Uniform Public Code Offense Code for Kansas cities as published by the League of Kansas Municipalities, save and accept such parts or portions as supplemented, deleted, or changed, and repealing ordinance number G 1330, and authorize the mayor to sign the ordinance on behalf of the city. Item D, approval of the appropriation ordinance for the period ending August 23rd, 2022, subject to the release of HUD expenditures when funds are received. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Moved by Ron, moved by Chuck, seconded by Ron and Stu. All those, or roll call vote.
Brooks?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
Munsell?
Yes.
Sigley?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. All right, consider the following. White Elephant Emporium Project. Consider the recommendation of the Economic Development Advisory Committee to support the White Elephant Emporium project by allocating an amount equal to roughly 10% of the total project value to renovate the dilapidated property located at 804 North Broadway, with the city's portion not to exceed $11,000 in non-repayable funds.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. We've got some visual aids, and I know you have a camera right here, so we'll probably set this up here. We're proud, Madam Mayor, members of the commission, to bring you another project tonight that not only helps us to restore a downtown building that is in need of repair, but also enables a locally owned business to relocate and to thrive. Overall, it's a $106,000 investment by Ms. Watts, who you already met a little bit earlier tonight, and her business partners. They did make a request to the Economic Development Advisory Committee for incentives to help with the project. So I'll talk about the EDAC recommendation in just a moment, but want to ask Ms. Watts to maybe give us just a brief synopsis of the project and what they're planning to do.
Sure. Hi, I'm Stephanie Watts, and my partner is Danielle Beitzinger. She's my sister-in-law. We both graduated from Pittsburgh State University with design degrees. I took off and traveled the world and did visual merchandising in different jobs, and I did a lot of freelance design work and package design. She's done a lot of freelance design work up in Kansas City. I came back to retire here with my husband, and kids went to school here through Pitt State. My middle-aged son's playing football here, and I got a daughter in high school, so we completely invested ourselves into this city. I like to think this is something really positive, and I'm excited about it. We kind of went on a limb with our old warehouse, we thought was kind of given to us to create what we do, and we were shocked that we really didn't own it. We were kind of punted out of there, which is fine. It was a learning lesson for my sister-in-law and I. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, we were punted out of the warehouse, and we worked in there with our White Elephant Emporium for almost a year, and we did amazing. We had no idea it would take off in Pittsburgh, Kansas the way it did. So when we were asked to leave and hunt down a new building, we were gung-ho to find another building. We kind of fell upon this, where it says pawn, buy, and sell. It was in really bad shape. It was left to us. In fact, I will pass around some pictures for you guys. So you can really get an idea of what we've been up to lately. The front pictures are kind of our old building of what we do, and how we do it and how we present it. I would say this, on our last opening,
Stephanie, if you don't stay at the mic, then nobody at home will be able to hear what you're saying.
Pass those around. Some are old, and you'll see the building that's dilapidated that we've been working on.
Thanks, Stephanie.
So our last sale was in June and July, and our first customers in the door drove from Monkey Island on Grand Lake, and we were so excited that we were starting to get people they're coming in from Tulsa, Springfield, definitely Kansas City. We've got big PSU gorilla prints that we create in there that are in Arizona and Denver. So we're definitely starting to pull in a crowd that's coming in from all over, and we're super excited about that. We know we're talented in what we do. We feel confident that we can be a driving force for our downtown and that city block. We have a beautiful awning coming. We have beautiful signage coming. We've completely have redone the entire building. We laid 10 tons of rock today in our back garden area. So we know what we're capable of doing, and we're super excited about doing it. We are definitely rooted in Pittsburgh and thrilled to help boost our downtown. There's a lot going on, and we love being a part of it, and we want to continue doing it. So
Madam Mayor, the recommendation from the EDAC is consistent with past projects that the incentive package would total approximately 10% of the total project value. They rounded up a little bit. As I mentioned, the total project value is $106,000, so they rounded up to $11,000 for an incentive. To remind those watching at home, we do specifically tie the city's money to infrastructure improvements, so you can see in her breakout of cost. I believe it's the electrical alone that's $15,000, and again, that's consistent with what we've done in the past. Ms. Watts and her business partner would actually front the cost, consistent with what we've done with past projects as well. So there's no risk at all to the city. So the way it would work is if you approve this tonight, they would go ahead and make the improvements, submit verification that they spent what they said they were going to, and that it was used for infrastructure improvements, and they would be reimbursed up to $11,000 from the city. So with that, would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I have one.
Yes, sir.
Blake, is that two separate buildings you're talking about?
I believe it's just one, correct, Stephanie?
it's one. It's
So-
one story. It goes all the way back to the
So
alley.
no firewall between the two? It's all
It's just
open?
one, yes, sir.
It looks like two different buildings.
I think that sign right in the middle kind of throws it off a little bit, but I believe it is one building. And I don't know that we mentioned it, it's 804 North Broadway,
Okay.
just for the folks watching at home.
This is work you've already done, that you took pictures, or was it like that?
Correct. Well, some of that is what you're.
Come on back up, Stephanie.
Some of what you're seeing is kind of before. We have taken down that middle wall. We've taken all the plaster off. We've painted the floors, took the carpet off, painted the floors. We've added HVAC in there already. We've added plumbing in there, so there's a bathroom. We took off a garage door that was right in the center and put in two nice doors that we purchased from a restaurant up in Kansas City. We've taken out all the garbage that was in the back garage area and making that a garden area. We're putting lattice up on top. We've painted the entire building. I could go on and on what we've done. It's been a couple months of daily work and hunting down contractors and praying they show up. But it's been a lot of fun. We've enjoyed it. We would do it again. We just love. Pretty soon, everybody's going to be in shock at how beautiful our building is. So we're very excited about that. We've painted the entire exterior and painted that 8th Street back wall because that was in dire need of being cleaned up as well. So we will have possibly a mural with our white elephant definition running along that back wall. So it's going to be a little bit of Wilshire Boulevard and Santa Monica meets Charleston is what we're hoping for. So.
In Pittsburgh, Kansas.
And why not? All of our
Yes.
folks that shop at our place are thrilled to have a place that they don't have to go to Tulsa downtown or Kansas City or, we're just thrilled that we're here and we've been receptive by the folks here so well. They love it, so we're going to keep doing it for them.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Move to accept.
So moved.
Motion by Ron, seconded by Stu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And here,
Good job, Stephanie.
don't want to stick them in there. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Yes, sure will. All right. Moving on to consider the following item B. Ordinance number S 1088. Consider the approval of ordinance number S 1088 granting to MCI Metro Access Transmission Services LLC, doing business as Verizon Access Transmission Services, MCI Metro, its successors and assigns a telecommunications franchise and prescribing the terms of said grant and relating thereto. Good evening, Jay.
Mayor and Commissioners, I know this may sound a little bit like there's something happening here, but it actually is not. It's more administrative than anything else. What happened is that one company bought out the assets of another company, of a telecommunications company, and the first company, the purchaser, didn't have a franchise agreement with the city. So what you're looking at is the franchise agreement, so that they can cover what goes on in the city's right-of-way. That's the primary purpose of the franchise agreements. This is the same agreement that we have with Crawcan, with Optic, with the Kansas Fiber Network, all of which have telecommunication lines that run through Pittsburgh.
Okay, and would you say those again? Crawcan?
Crawcan,
FiberNet?
Optic, which is Columbus Telephone, the Kansas Fiber Network, which is another provider. There's another company called Zayo that actually several years ago put up some small cell towers. All of those companies have the same agreement that MCI Metro does now.
Does Cox, oh, I'm sorry. Does Cox have that same agreement also?
Cox is a little bit different. It's more like grandfathered in, all right? They were around for a long time.
Okay.
Don't have quite the same.
I see, okay.
And you said the company that they bought out did not have a franchise agreement with the city?
No, they did.
Well, it was actually it was Verizon, and they'd been that had been in place. They had been here providing telecommunication services for a long time before we had these franchise agreements in place. So no, they did not.
No.
So MCI now has those assets, and now they have a franchise agreement.
How long is the franchise agreement for?
It's I forgot the terms. It's a long time, all right? I forgot. It gets renewed every 7 years, I think. I have to go through I don't remember the terms of it.
The initial term is 2 years.
2 years? Okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
would
then
say,
it
I
gets renewed.
thought, so a franchise agreement with anyone is like for 2 years, right? West Star, anybody?
It's the same as the other
Same
franchise
agreement.
agreements, yeah.
State law just won't allow us to
No,
go
we're not
past
dealing
20
with any
years.
What's that?
potential.
State law won't allow us to go past 20 years. This one will automatically renew for 1-year terms, but it can't go past 20 according to state
Oh, I
statute.
see, but every year you have to renew the agreement? or-
Automatically. Yeah, it will automatically.
These automatically renew, yeah.
Right.
We're not dealing with any cell towers or
No.
potential for cell towers.
There's no
okay?
towers, no
Okay.
towers, no.
Stu, do you have any questions? Must have lost it.
No, I don't.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
No, I
Okay.
don't.
All right, thank you. So, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved by Ron, seconded by Chuck. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Ed.
Appreciate it. All right. Non-agenda reports and requests. Darren?
There's nothing from staff that I know of.
All right. Does anyone have anything?
I don't have anything, but I would like to make some comments.
Go right ahead.
I want to thank you all for coming tonight, the courage you had to come up and talk about a situation that in your neighborhood. I had to apologize, I had no idea anything was going on there until I read in the paper, you know. You're not unique in your neighborhood. I say that from experience because in my neighborhood, just like your neighborhood, several years back, the police were called several times to a house. I watched them on my field with the guns drawn on this house. There was some issues going on there. That house got doused with gasoline and lit on fire when people were almost inside of it. So I know what you're talking about. Several months ago, in my neighborhood, a lady was shot and killed. Now, you know, I understand what you're saying, and I have every sympathy for you. I agree with you, this should not be happening. What can we do? I don't have the answer. Maybe someone has the answers that we can, and whatever you need from me, if I need to be on something when you go talk to people, I will be there. So I just wanted to say that.
I think we should clarify the process here. The process is that a court issued the warrant, correct? Counselor?
You have to ask the
Brent?
police department, I was not involved in that.
Generally speaking, this is ongoing investigation, generally speaking, it's an ongoing investigation. So I really can't disclose that. Now, they were arrested, they will go, they'll have the judicial process, and they will see their day in court is what's gonna transpire here. In reference to the comments that were made earlier, you know, some comments were made praising law enforcement for A, B, and C. We will continue to look at, you know, exactly what we can do from the law enforcement perspective, and then we're gonna also work with city codes and the city manager. Darren and I have had some conversations already. Internally with staff, we've had conversations as well. So we will ultimately find some solution to this. It may take a little bit of time, but rest assured we will find something, okay?
Am I okay to ask a question right now?
You can try.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, but I've noticed in the last few days, increased, I guess, patrol. Is that something that you think that we can count on?
I directed that as of a couple of days ago, and I'll kind of leave it at that right now.
I will say that the activity has dropped considerably
Has it? Good.
since that, and vehicles have left the premises
Oh, okay.
on trucks. So,
Okay.
that's a nice move. So I'm hoping that that is a positive move to move.
What I would encourage, go ahead and contact the police department. If you see specifics, continue. I know some of you most likely, if not all, have, but continue that dialogue back and forth. That is beneficial to us. That way we can direct it when there's actually something occurring at that time. But rest assured, we're looking at other solutions, so. Okay.
I'd like to get back to the process a second, not with
Sure.
you, Brent, but with our counselor here. From here, once the arrest is made, they go to Girard, correct? And then the county attorney takes over?
It just depends on the situation, but yeah, as of August 1st, there was a new, let me explain a little bit of history on the background of this August 1st new bonding schedule. The Kansas Supreme Court in the last year or two, Major, I'm not sure where he's at, they moved towards this new bonding schedule. Crawford County, or our district, which is Crawford County includes, is one of the last in the state to adopt this new policy. It's ultimately it's a new mandate from the state side, which it's reducing discrimination against the indigent population, basically those that are not able to afford to bond out. So there are set crimes that either you stay 48 hours or you're released immediately on your own recognizance. So generally speaking, that's kind of what we're talking about with that new August 1st policy. So.
Brent, when that happens and they're arrested and they're bond out at 48 hours, whatever it is, and I know you said this before, they are repeat offenders that continue to do the crimes, right?
It just, every situation is a little bit different. There's discretion on whether or not they can be released. And that's out of law enforcement hands
Right.
off most of the time, for the most part. There were conversations about a no bond opportunity or option. Those are typically only reserved in the history that I've worked for the agency. You typically only see that on the very, like murders or homicides, on the very extreme side of things. So, but rest assured, we're going to continue, or we're going to really ramp up things, and we have had conversations with City Hall, codes, our team at the PD, and periodically, yeah, these things pop up in the community. So we just have to address them head on and find a solution. And that's where we're at right now as a community. So we just need to fix it. I live not far from there, so I understand. I understand. So I'll be driving through those neighborhoods myself. So on the way home, I'll be driving through it. So, okay.
I think the main thing is, we want you to know, you're not alone. We're all with you. We don't like it any more than you guys do, but you have a front row seat.
Well, we're law enforcement, we're the police department, and it's really not their responsibility is the way I see it. So we'll do what we can and try to fix it. Yep.
We're happy to have you on our side.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brent.
Is there any other questions? Have you all felt like you've got your questions answered, or for the time being? Darren, you have anything else to add under?
No, I think Brent hit most of it. We took the notes. Obviously, the bond thing was in question. It's bigger than the bond issue that he was talking about, the bonding out. It's a problem in America. It's a problem in Pittsburgh. But it's something that does involve at least 3 of our departments. The police, I think you guys all were very kind, and we support them. And, you know, over there at midnight doing whatever they've got to do. You know, they can't just go every time. They have to make a good faith effort to go when there's something going on, so they'll have a successful raid or whatever you want to call it, and I think they do a good job of that, but it means we're not going to run over there all the time. I think the promise is, you know, I live right there. I know most of you. My kids are at this point, encouraged not to walk south on the trail for obvious reasons. I drive through there every day that I can. We will find a solution out of this. It's unfortunate, but it's not bigger than our community, and it's not bigger than your neighborhood, and it's not going to last. So whatever that's good for, you have our attention, we hear you, and I know Brent, and Brent gets the job done, so we're going to do whatever we have to do. So thank you for your patience. I know coming in here, I know Sean very well. Never seen him upset. I've seen him mad a few times at a referee. I've never seen him emotional, so I know how much that means coming from him and the rest of you. The commission's not back down from this. We've talked regularly. We've been on this for months, and we'll stay on it until you get your neighborhood back.
I want to clarify one thing too. Not just your neighborhood, but every neighborhood in this town. This is our town, and we are the ones who make it what it is. And like Darren says, we're not going to put up with it, regardless of what neighborhood you live in.
Yeah, and you need to pass along everybody in the city needs to be alert to this type of thing, because it's gonna visit us again sooner or later. I mean, it's happening everywhere. And you just need to be very alert in your communities and on your streets and stuff. You simply can't say that, you know, nothing's going to happen. The potential right now and the craziness that's going on is there. And we have to be very, very alert in our cities and around our homes and pass the word along. Security is important in your homes. You know, Ring doorbells. I don't have one. I'm going to put one in now, that's for sure. You know, whatever you can do as far as security in our city is fantastic. And when you have a little time, just drive around. You know, just driving around sometimes and looking and seeing. And if you see something out of the ordinary or, you know, something going on, call the police. That's why they're there. And then number 2 is if anybody's looking for a job, we've got some openings in the police department.
We do, and they're hard to fill.
They're hard to fill.
And when you see something, the best thing you can do isn't to watch it, it's to call.
Yeah.
Because that's the best chance of getting something done. If you try to wait to see if something happens, it's probably going to be too late. So, but we're I'm happy you came. I know it was tough, but it's not a good story, but it's one that we deal with every day in some neighborhood in Pittsburgh, and nobody should have their turn.
Out of a bad situation? Oh, yes, go ahead, Stu.
I don't know if you can hear me very well, can you?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I just think this is a testament to what every good city would want to have out of their citizens. And this is one neighborhood, and I know it took a lot, but I think it speaks volumes to how much they care about their homes and their neighborhood. And I just think as a city, we have an obligation to do everything in our power, and I know we are, and I appreciate Chief Nargis's comments, and I know they're working hard on it. But I also want to just encourage the neighbors down there and everybody in Pittsburgh, don't let an incident where someone bonds out derail your faith in the system. This is a process. This is one incident. This particular arrest was. This is an ongoing situation. But just know that the wheels have started spinning, and they do spin very slow sometimes. But please don't get discouraged and stop calling just because, you know, this one incident, someone bonded out too soon in your perception. So just please keep having that open communication. That's what every police department relies on, are citizens that care as much as these guys do.
All right, thank you, Stu. All right, anything else? All right, do I have a
Call for adjournment?
motion to adjourn?
I second it.
Motion by Doc, seconded by Chuck. All those in favor say aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.